Chapter 9. Hard Downtown. Pamela could feel the serenity fall over her almost as soon as she placed her bags in the rented town car and pulled out of the driveway. She was actually doing it, taking some alone time and self-care to boot. She was pretty proud of standing up for herself. She knew she really needed this time alone, too. She had some things on her mind that she needed to think over, and driving on the highway always put her in the receptive mode for stream of consciousness thinking and getting problems solved. The large car took to the 10 highway and headed north towards General Waters. She had planned it all out in her mind before she left. Dinner, then a long soak in the hot springs tub, a glass of sherry, and a massage before bed. The spa was very accommodating and was able to make her room up for her with such short notice. This spa catered to the rich Dallas elite, and even when a drunken heiress wanted a room at 3 a.m., they went out of their way to please. Pamela had reserved the Catskill suite and would have dinner on the veranda overlooking the mountains. She couldn't wait to arrive, but first antique shops called out to her, hoping she would stop in and buy something new for the ranch. You got to keep the clients thinking that no expense is spared there, especially when they were boarding $1,000,000 trick ponies and sending Daddy's little girl for riding lessons. The ranch had to look as affluent as it could, even when there were bills yet to be paid. Pamela pulled the car into the Regency Antiques and Fine Wares parking area and allowed the valet to take the car out front. She got her expensive bag from the floorboard and tipped the hot Latin car hop with a 20. He definitely wasn't her type, but had called her Miss instead of Ma'am, which had warmed her up to him quite a bit. Yes, Pam loved Edgar, but the old beauty queen in her and the tiger temptress that lived inside longed for more attention than ever before from the male persuasion. Aging beauty can leave a longing like that. She sauntered really into the shop, and was met by Parker, the assistant to the owner. Parker had known that she was coming and set aside some particularly fancy Dude Ranch finds that he thought would go well at Thunder Rose. He had been to the ranch several times at Pamela's insistence, knowing that his design skills and keen eye for a good bargain would come in handy. "Miss Cartwright, how are you today, beautiful?" he said, handing her a margarita. "Quite well, Parker," she said, giving him a tight hug, much tighter than he had expected. She took the margarita and downed a long sip. The strength of the tequila warmed her body, and she reminded herself that she was driving. She wanted that feeling again, the light-headed, fancy-free feeling of youth and no cares in the world. And alcohol often brought out the maiden in her. This maiden could and had on many occasions started something she often didn't want to finish. So she reminded herself again that she was driving and saving her strength and virility for her soon-to-be husband. The thought took her by surprise, and she felt anxiety rise up in her chest. There was no time for admonishment or for cold feet, yet she couldn't stop the anxiousness. She took an even longer drink from the margarita mug and handed it back to Parker for a refill. He took the glass and headed back to the lounge area, leaving Pamela looking at herself in an ornate oak mirror carved with galloping horses. She must have it, she thought, her head starting to swim quite warmly with the drink in her. She felt loose, and yet still the anxiety about something welled up in her. Why was she now feeling this after she'd had a perfectly fine morning with Edgar? No fights or pushback from him on her plans? She knew that he loved her. At least he said so. But it wasn't the love leaving her with butterflies. It was the leaving behind of something within her. The woman who had tried vehemently through the years to keep herself young and attractive for others. She was always open and receptive in case some younger lover might come along. She didn't know Edgar's true feelings then. And even though they had both come out of the closet to each other with their feelings, and she had agreed to be his wife, she didn't want to lose that other part of herself, the vixen and temptress, longing to be free. She had some hard thinking to do about the matter, she decided, as Parker returned with another mug full of margarita. Yes, she did, she decided. But first, the mirror, she thought, as she downed another long drink from the mug. This could get good, she thought, as she handed her credit card to Parker to pay for the mirror she would lovingly display in the main hall entrance to the Thunder Rose offices. She chose several small paintings and lamps in the same ranch life theme and didn't balk at the $20,000 tab. She loosened the buttons on her blouse, heady from the last drink, and signed the credit card slip with a flourish. She needed this, she thought again, as her mind went back to her youth and the young Quint she had beguiled without even trying. She needed something. She pondered what that could be as she hugged Parker goodbye. He offered to send the limo for her, recognizing borderline drunkenness when he saw it, but she shooed the idea away and went outside to fetch the car. She literally bumped into Miguel, hot Latin valet, coming up the drive entrance, and handed him her ticket. The feel of her breasts against her chest was not lost on him, even if the aging beauty was 20 years his senior. She was a fine and lusty prize, he thought, as he chided himself for having an erection on duty and it being so easily seen given the tight uniform he was wearing. Pam adjusted her composure, for it was in the presence of someone like Miguel that in the past would have activated the sultry beauty within. But oh, no, not this again. This is what happened to me the last time I read this darn thing. Holy smokes. This is crazy. Oh, it's back again. But Pam, oh man, I did a shorts on this one time. I did the exact same thing. This is crazy. But Pam, didn't want to have to answer to Edgar, lest he think she was hiding something from him. You guys are funny. And if she decided, now I'm all tongue-tied, and if she just, hold on. Oh, this always happens during this chapter. Oh, get ready, y'all. If she decided to do what she wanted to do in this moment, oh, God. Why is this happening? And if she decided, keep going. If she decided to do what she wanted to do in this moment, seeing the bulge between Miguel's legs and feeling her own heat rise within, she would definitely be hiding a deep, dark secret from her soon-to-be betrothed. But the devil on one shoulder and the tequila deep down in her belly suggested otherwise. Pam, come on now, it seduced her from within. Just look at him. He wants you and you want it. What do you say? For old time's sake? It cajoled her again. Pam looked at Miguel as he sauntered past, trying to conceal himself. Hi there, Pam said, hating herself in the moment. I was just going to town and then to my spa. Do you want to join me? She asked the younger Miguel, who had turned and in seeing the buxom beauty hardened again. What, miss? He stammered, not believing that a rich older woman was interested in him, a young yet hot and fiery guy from the other side of town. Although it wasn't the first time he had told himself he wouldn't get involved in any way with someone from his work, but he saw the pert nipples behind the sheer fabric of Pam's blouse, and he couldn't resist and almost couldn't wait. But the waiting might be worth it in more ways than one, he thought. After all, rent was coming due again, and he thought he might be short if tips didn't pick up. I'm asking you to come along with me for a ride, Pam said, unabashedly and suddenly craving another drink. If you grab me another drink in my car, we can go right now, she said with a sultry slur that turned most men to jelly. Well, I do get off work in 20 minutes, he said, his Latin accent. Would that accent turn Pam's knees to better? Well, I do get off work in 20 minutes. I do get off work. Oh, no. Forget it. I do get off work in 20 minutes. This chapter is insane. His Latin accent turning Pam's knees to butter. I'll wait, hun, she said, wiping the sweat from her upper lip and licking her mouth in that way she knew turned men on. How about that drink now? She sweetly moved closer and slipped a $50 bill deep down into his front hip pocket, brushing her hand lightly against the hard-on. Sure thing, Miguel said, wiping away his own sweat with his handkerchief. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, he said, hoping he really could wait to get into bed with her. All those... Oh, I can read this. Where did I channel this? All those exercises he had... Fuck this freaking chapter. Oh, okay, let's be serious. All those exercises he had done with that penis ring were fun. That's so funny. Would finally pay off as he strained to hold back. He really needed this after the week he just had. Oh boy. Whew. This is probably going to be the only chapter I read today. With drink in hand, Pamela felt the last 20 minutes fly by. And sufficiently jazzed up, she didn't feel a sense of anything other than flying fancy free on the wings of lust, luck, and young desire. The kind a girl feels when the guy she's been watching all along exhibits some interest. The shift ended, and Miguel emerged freshly changed and smelling of a musky and enticing scent. His muscular, tattooed arms and pulled back shoulder-length hair glistening oh man, with sweat and shine. He pulled Pamela's car off to the side of the shop, away from prying eyes, and walked back to hand her the keys. He noticed that she appeared a little wobbly, I bet, after all those drinks, standing in the drive, smoothing her skirt around her still firm behind. Your chariot awaits. He felt stupid almost as soon as he released it from his lips, but he didn't think she noticed. She looked really wasted, he thought, as he saw the blurry look in her eyes. See what happens when you drink too much. She touched his arm and lightly touched his hand for the key. Hey, maybe I should drive, miss, he said, not wanting to end up on the side of the road explaining to some cop how he had ditched his last probation meeting. That could wait. Right now he needed to get laid, and he needed some cash. My name's Pam, she said, knowing full well she was too far gone to drive now. What's wrong with you? But sufficiently relaxed. I just hate this channel. Oh my God. Sufficiently. This chapter always does this to me. Sufficiently relaxed to take on a grown man in her bed. My name's Pam, but you can call me whatever you want, she said, unsurprised at her own forwardness. She knew this behavior had been coming on for a while, and now that she was in it, she wasn't holding anything back. He gently took her arm, brushing her breast as he led her towards the town car. He opened the passenger door and let her lean against him as he got inside. He looked around to make sure no one saw him get into the driver's seat. Everyone was off at lunch, and he was able to quietly get in without being seen. At least he had hoped not. But inside the Regency, Parker peered out the side door window and clucked his tongue. Yet another unsuspecting woman was being ushered away by one of his valets. Well, it's what keeps them coming back. He secretly smiled at his clever business trick. Rich women couldn't resist a hot young guy, and neither could he, Parker reminded himself as he quietly went back to logging in new merchandise. The sleek car maneuvered back onto the main road as Miguel reviewed the directions to Gentle Springs on the Garmin. Oh, not there, hon, Pam said, unable to control herself. It's too far, and I can't wait. I've called in a reservation in town, she said, deftly, despite her drunkenness, typing in the name of Hotel Montreal into the Garmin. She had called in the room almost as soon as Miguel had turned and walked away, tight glutes leaving her too hot to handle. It's nice but discreet. She thought he would be concerned about that, but realized it was her that didn't want to be recognized. and she knew from past experience that this hotel catered to those who didn't want to be seen or known for who they really were on the outside. She put her hand on Miguel's thigh and periodically stroked the large erection, just like she knew most men liked. And like it he did, so much so that he almost couldn't wait another moment. Seeing a quiet dirt road turnoff up ahead, he moved the car off the road and parked behind a large row of trees and bushes, unassuming from the main road. He pulled a silver flask from his bag and offered Pamela a drink. She downed the cheap whiskey and handed it back to him. He took a long drink and set it aside, using one hand to unzip his trousers and the other to pull open Pamela's blouse. They were both breathing heavy now and lost in the moment. Climbing from the front to the back seats, they groped, tongued each other languidly, and pretty much ripped clothing off. "Ride 'em, cowboy!" Pamela almost screamed as she mounted Miguel, who grasped her firm butt in his strong, manly hands and squeezed tight while rolling a pert nipple in between his teeth. They moaned, groaned, and came in a splendid spurt of delicious ecstasy, sweating from the almost 80-degree day outside and struggling to remain composed. Miguel was hard again almost immediately and mounted Pam from behind as she groaned in complete and utter satisfaction and yet dissatisfaction at the same time. She was going to hate herself in the morning, she knew, but right now she was getting her girl on, and that was all that mattered. Her purse lay open on the front floorboard as her cell chirped a call coming in over the Bluetooth in the car, but over the urban cowboy radio station coming over the Sirius satellite, and the moaning from the back seat. Edgar's call, when unnoticed and unanswered, shuffled off to voicemail as the two lovers came again. I don't even know that I can go into a commentary on this. I think it's just enough said right there. And if you needed a Kundalini rising or a little sweaty moment of your own, I guess that's the healing that's coming from chapter 9. Oh, as it always tends to do. Whew. All right. We will see you again soon for the next chapter, which I don't know. I'm not going to look. I'm not going to go see where that one's going. All right, friends. Take care.